I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is alongside me. We're a day away from the kick-off of Scotland's friendly against Costa Rica. Alex McLeish's second term in charge as national manager. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I think the key point we're going to talk about first of all is Cedric Kipre. His red card has been reduced to a yellow. Right decision, Ruffy?
Yep, I don't think that was rocket science. I think we all seen it. I think we all got a better view than the referee. He obviously seen it from a different angle and took a different view. He thought it was an out-and-out stamp on the player, which I think we all saw on television that it wasn't. So quite rightly, Motherwell appealed it and it's been turned.
Well, I think it was the right decision. I have to say though, Ruffy, Stephen Robinson, the Motherwell manager, has mentioned that we should be looking more and more now towards following suit with the rest of world football. VAR has to come in at some point. It would have solved that problem. Motherwell would have had 11 players on the park for a considerable amount of time. I'm not for a minute suggesting it would have changed the outcome of the game. You never know. Motherwell defended really well with 10 men.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important that we get it in. Obviously, we're going to see at the World Cup. There will still be wee hiccups there, here and there, but in the long term, it's got to be used, and particularly for the big moments in a game. And that Motherwell game was certainly a big moment as far as Motherwell's concerned, because he was a big player for them. And they honestly would believe that they could have possibly went on and won that game with 11 men. Yeah,
Niles just sent us a message saying, do you think that Scott Brown should be punished?
No, I don't think it was a punishable offence. You know, I think it was a push. I don't think it was an out-and-out hard push. You know, it was just a sort of a touch. But no, I don't think either of the two players. I mean, both of them having the referee bringing them together and having a word with them would have been sufficient as far as I'm concerned, and a warning away from getting another card.
Yeah, I think VAR is the way ahead. The only thing I think it's still got to be refined, Ruffy, but it doesn't take too long, 20 seconds, bang, goes back to the incident. You can look at it from a couple of angles and you solve a lot of problems. I think what will happen probably, because some people are getting frustrated at the length of time, it's slowing down the game. I think what might happen in the future is maybe they'll look and say, okay, if you want to challenge things, you maybe get 3 calls at it.
Yeah, that would be a way around it. Maybe it's a teething exercise, you know, to break people into it. But I mean, as you know, I'm a big cricket fan and I watch the cricket regularly, and the supporters there don't seem to be too bothered about how long it takes.
Yeah.
You know, they wait and then they get a decision, and sometimes when they get a decision that highlights.
Yeah, hold on a minute, Ruffy. Let's not draw comparisons between football and cricket. You know, it's like you wave to your wife, or your wife waves to you in the morning and said, I'm away to the cricket, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. You know, it's a draw before you go.
Exactly, and it's the longest day out of all time. So, you know, I'm not too bothered about that. I just think the pace of the game, that's going to be one of the criticisms of it. But I still think we need to look at that and need to make the change on it. So that's one of the aspects that's emerged in the papers this morning as well. Now let's look at the Scotland game. We're getting ever closer to it. We've had a stab at who we think should start the game based on chatting to Alec, chatting to Malky Mackay, listening to some of the interviews with Peter Grant, James McFadden. Charlie Mulgrew is going to be the captain. Good call, short term?
Yeah, good call for me. I've said all along, an experienced player, that the younger players who are still, you know, to show us what they can do in a Scotland jersey would come in, look to him as an inspiration. I think he's done enough in the game, and he's that kind of player. He sees everything in front of him. He's a good organiser, and I think that's what some of the young boys will need.
Yep, okay. It'll be interesting to see how they do. What do you think, Ruffy?
And I'm hoping it's a win. I was fortunate enough, I was at Hampden this morning and I bumped into Alec McLeish, speaking to Alec, and he said the exact same as me. It might take time.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give these young guys a chance. Okay, the games that we're playing, you know, we have to have everybody pushing in the same direction, and I hope if it was a defeat here and there before the big games come along, that everybody would appreciate that these guys are still, you know, breaking themselves at an international level. But he's excited by the players that he saw in training. He's excited by particularly the ones down south that we haven't seen that much of. So yeah, I think it's just an exciting. I think we're all anticipating the 11 and anticipating the style of football that he's going to play.
Yeah. Did you get the team off him?
Yes, he did, but he obviously told me not to mention it to anybody.
Yeah.
Which would have been disrespectful for me.
Just out of curiosity, and you know what I'm like with you. I'm your pal. Did you get the team off him?
He gave me a couple of players, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be good to see Tom Kearney in the middle of the park, and also Kevin McDonald. I'm almost certain those two will definitely play. You see the difference. See the difference. You know, journalist and Alex, my best mate. You get nothing out of it.
No, if I'm talking to Alex and he says to me,
just give us the players, will you?
You're on later on. Just be sensible in how you. Treat what I've told you.
Okay, right, fine. There you are. You have it in a nutshell with them. Okay, I think. Listen, it doesn't really matter, but it'd be great if Scotland won.
Yeah, I think they're good enough to maybe win 1 or 2-0, which would be great. You know, I know Costa Rica are maybe 3 or 4 places above us, but I think it's going to be for everybody who goes along tomorrow night. I think it'll be a case of young players trying to prove to everybody that they should be there, and they are there on merit. And I think you'll get a lot of them playing with not the same sort of what's the word I'm looking for? The sort of inhibition. No?
Yeah, they should be able
free.
to. They should be able to free spirit.
I think you'll see a lot of players who it might not faze them at all. I think the good thing about it is the stadium's not full, so they can relax a wee bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a good thing if you're operating at Hampden. You want it full to the rafters. Hopefully it'll start to gain momentum with Alex winning. Listen, quite a lot of people saying, you know, Barry reckons Tierney's the captain. He may well be, Barry, as time goes on. Brian Dunn says, why should Scott Brown be punished? Why not the referee? It was him who showed the red card in the first place. Yeah, I mean, listen, that was something that I think Charlie Richmond mentioned in one of the papers. The referees are not going to get punished by the SFA, according to Charlie, because it's one of these little cush day gatherings. There's not enough people coming through behind them to put pressure on them to get demoted. But if I can offer a sense of balance on this, referees do get demoted, Ruffy. If they have a shocker, you know, slowly but surely they find themselves down the leagues for a couple of weeks. Yeah,
not particularly a shocker in one game, but I think there are supervisors at every game who mark up every referee and assistant. You know, so they are marked up, and they all know exactly, you know, where they are when the cup finals come along. And obviously it's a team, and I think you will find that referees are marked down, and the referees know that. I do agree with Charlie that there isn't enough coming through, possibly to put pressure on them. But I don't think for a minute that's why he made the decisions at Motherwell. I just think it was the wrong decision.
Yeah, okay. Celtic fans have snapped up all the tickets for the semi-final, Ruffy, and I'm almost certain the Rangers fans will just sell out their allocation. There'll be season ticket holders on both camps that are very unhappy because this is supply and demand. Is gathering pace. It's almost as if I'm looking at this game and thinking it's going to be the game that determines whether Graham Murty is even a contender for the Rangers manager next summer.
Yeah, it just shows you the twists and turns of football. I think before the Celtic game, Graham Murty had done no wrong, you know, and I think everybody at Rangers was pulling in the right direction, and then all of a sudden you get a bad result against Celtic and then another one against Kilmarnock, and that's just 2 games and everything just turns on its head, and now he has to prove himself to everybody again. If he wants it, these are the games he needs to win. He needs to finish second, he needs to get to a final, possibly win the final, and then it might turn again, you know, because obviously that's the way football is. Yeah,
okay, I'm on record. I've said it a million times. Graham Murty, the job's too big for him. I think Rangers, with a bit of extra money, will be looking to a man with experience, not only to pick the side. There's much more to the Rangers job than that. And of course, the ultimate question, is Graham Murty the man to stop Celtic going on to win 10 in a row? For me, the answer is emphatically no. I think the board need to look at themselves. Can they get extra additional money into that club? And then can they recruit top drawer players along with a top drawer manager? Or at least a manager with a good CV and experience that could make a difference. That's the biggest problem, I think, coming up, because everybody's talking about Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, Rangers bridging the gap. Celtic have got 30 million in the bank, and nobody's talking about what they could do in the summer, Ruffy.
Yeah, but I think from that point of view, as Celtic are not notorious, or they aren't been in the last 2 or 3 years for throwing the cash about. They've rather stockpile it, which is not a bad thing, you know, to have that kind of money in there. I'm sure a lot of Celtic supporters would rather that their team do go and splash the cash, but we've already been told by Brendan Rodgers and everybody at Celtic is that's not the way ahead. We have to be prudent in what we're doing. We have to give all the youngsters a chance, but as long as there is, and I agree with you, As long as there is that gap there and Celtic don't need to close it financially, then they won't spend it. But I agree with you, if they did need to spend it, they would spend it.
Yeah, okay. Interesting times ahead right across the country in that. Small matter of the Iron Brew Challenge Cup final at the weekend, Ruffy. Inverness against Dumbarton. I think Robbo's team will win it. I think if you look at Inverness, I'm not too sure. I think their hopes of getting to the playoffs gone now. I think there's too many teams clumping up their fixtures.
Yeah, bad injury list as well. But I think on the day, I think they might just have too much experience for Dumbarton. I do think Dumbarton will go along there and put up a good show. I think it'll be very, very close. But I agree with you. I think Inverness might just win that one. Yeah,
coming up shortly, Ruffy, the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see all the votes being counted. I was having a chat with the committee today. Obviously, I host the PFA Player of the Year Awards in Scotland. It's the 40th anniversary, so quite a lot of the former winners. You know, you go down through Derek Johnston, one of the first winners of the PFA Player of the Year Award. I think it's the ultimate honour to be selected as Player of the Year by your fellow professionals. The candidates are coming in. Who do you think is going to be the Manager of the Year, the Player of the Year, the Young Player of the Year? Give us your thoughts at PLZ Soccer on Twitter and facebook.com/PLZ Soccer. Sometimes, if you make the right run at the right time and the votes are being cast, you know, I think we're looking at what? Brendan Rodgers, maybe Jack Ross, Steve Clark's going to be in there. As far as the players are concerned, I think Boydie's going to be in there. I'll tell you who else I think is a definite to be in there. Scott Brown and James Forrest, and then after that
Tierney.
Not so sure. I don't know. Maybe there's a popular vote there for Kieran as well. I don't think he's been, you know, catching the eye consistently. I think he's just now one of those guys you just automatically think he's an 8 out of 10. You know, maybe that's. I'm just looking for the ones that I think have really caught the eye, and I think Chris Boyd will be in there. I'm not so sure. Morelos, I thought a couple of weeks ago he might be, but I think he's
because of one miss. One miss and you're out the game.
5 yards, Ruffy. It's 5 yards. I've got Rangers fans and Rangers mates who are talking to me going 5 yards out. All you've got to do is put it in the net.
Yeah, well, I would put him out of the equation and maybe possibly go for Tavernier.
Oh, well, what about Josh Windass? Somebody just mentioned him there. He scored goals.
Tavernier, Windass, yes, they'll be in there. But again, I think it was Barry, you know, who had said, you know, there are when these voting slips come through, there are some people you don't vote for.
Yeah, what are you on about Barry? You said that last year. You look at a cat, you say, well, he's been good, but I don't like him, so I'm not voting for him. Or the other classic is, I play for Rangers, he plays for Celtic, so I'm not voting for him.
Yeah, and it's the same up in Aberdeen, Dundee. Do they vote for people down in Glasgow? I mean, vice versa. I mean, not
you
everybody.
Can't vote for your own teammate.
Not all, everybody's in the same category of that. Yeah, but I would go Boyd, Scott Brown, and I'm going down the teams. Aberdeen, who's jumped out at Aberdeen?
Christie.
Ryan Christie, yeah, but not.
What? He's in the Scotland squad.
Yeah, no. Right, okay, we'll get him. And then you go down the teams.
You didn't hold out too much there, did you?
No, but I can't see him as
I'd hate for you to be in some kind of room, in a darkened room, not to give secrets about me.
I can't see him being a winner.
No.
No, a winner, right? No. A season that he is a winner, and that can't see it. And then you go down the teams, Hearts, nobody for me.
No.
Nobody at all. Partick Thistle, nobody. You know, you're going down Hibs, McGinn, McGear.
Yeah.
You know, they're the kind of players who players would maybe say, well, look at the season Hibs have had, let's have a look at their players.
Okay. Listen, fingers crossed Scotland get the win. A couple of other things I want to get your thoughts on, Ruffy, on the programme, and hopefully you can also get involved with us. The England World Cup. Now, they're going. There's a few royal members not going to Russia. Probably a few diplomats will not be taking up the free tickets. You just wonder, as this whole thing escalates with the fallout between the UK and Russia, whether, can you see the England team withdrawing at some point?
I would hope not, you know, because obviously it's out with their control. They've had nothing to do with this. My biggest worry is obviously the hooligan element who go along, and Russia unfortunately have a massive hooligan element, as do England. That would be my main worry, that this whole World Cup could turn into an absolute fiasco away from the football. Yeah,
I must admit, and here's the next point, I think if this escalates into the tit for tat on statements saying, you know, we know the situation with the Russian spy who's over here, who's been poisoned. There's an argument to substantiate, you know, where it came from, who's involved, who's responsible. I think if that escalates and, you know, more politicians start saying even more outrageous things, then I don't think it'll be too far away from the FA saying to England fans, listen, I would advise you not to travel. If I was an England fan, Rocky, I'd be looking at that and thinking, Russia? Are you kidding me? There's no danger I would be going over there.
Yeah, but I think we were all saying that before they got appointed to have the World Cup, you know, because of obviously the distance that you've got to travel for and all that kind of thing. So somebody will, from a higher position, will advise people not to go, but I don't know if it's bad enough yet for England to withdraw. But the only good thing is if obviously England withdraw, we're the nearest people would have to go in their place.
Yeah, yeah. And even then, I think there might be a few other countries ahead of us getting there, to be honest with you, Ruffy, in Scotland. Okay, couple other things. Sanchez struggling at Man United, hasn't quite hit the heights. It's been a bit of a... He's been toiling. He hasn't really shown any of the Arsenal form at all. Does that happen? Sometimes you just struggle to get used to a club?
I find very difficult to get my head around that one. You know, you need to give people time to settle. I'm sure if you put Ronaldo or Messi into that side, I don't think they would take time to settle. I don't know what it is. I mean, people say, they use it as an excuse, particularly if they've come from abroad. Yeah. You have to give your time to settle. But he's been here for ages, you know, and he's scored goals for fun. I don't know, sometimes it's a style of play. I mean, I saw somebody doing the chart of in the games that he's played, where he's actually playing, and he's playing away out here, whereas when he was at Arsenal, he's in here, and that, getting involved. That could be the problem.
Yeah, okay. So Alexis, if you're listening, Ruffy's worked it out. Don't go there, just go here. Yeah. Simple as that. Hey, who needs a Sky Sports computer behind you when you've got Ruffy just on a bit of white plastic? Okay, well done to West Ham. They're given lifetime bans to fans who invaded the pitch. Rightly so.
Correct. I've said it all along. Punish the people who are causing your team the problem, and let everybody else round about them know that this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, and we leave you with one little story that came up on the plzsoccer.com website, which is Gerard Piqué giving us a little insight into his time at Manchester United. And basically he was in there with the United strip on, ready to go out and play, and Roy Keane was sitting next to him, and he heard a phone going off, and Piqué basically was bricking himself on the basis that he knew it was his phone that was vibrating, and Roy Keane went through him. Yeah. You can imagine an 18-year-old trying to impress, just wanting to get his head down. His phone rings in the dressing room.
Yeah, I mean, it's the code, you know, that if somebody says no mobile phones, you make sure you don't take your mobile phone in.
Yeah, and especially... I
think mine's just went off there.
Yeah, well, thankfully Roy Keane's not sitting next to you. No. Anyway, you can get involved in the programme because as time goes on, we're going to give you the chance to download the app, PLZ Soccer app in Google Play and of course in the App Store. There is a section on it called Video Reporter. You can press it, record your own message, and we'll use it on here if you want to put your point to any of our teams. Simon Donnelly, Barry Ferguson, Hugh McDonald, the journalist from the Daily Mail, even Ian McGarry, our man down south for us, who keeps his eye on the English Premier League as well. Download the PLZ Soccer app and you can hit Video Reporter, record your message, and we might feature you in the show. We're going to give away prizes in the next couple of weeks for the best video message. If you want to keep up to date with all the news across England and Scotland and right across the European scene and world football, go on to www.plzsoccer.com and get your fix of news on a daily basis. We'll try and do as many Facebook Lives, and we'll give you details of some fantastic prizes as well. But if you want to keep up to date with your phone when you're going to work in the morning, or indeed just sitting in the house, download the PLZ Soccer app. From Ruffy and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.